What is going on, guys? Today we're going to do a follow-up to the Nightwing video that I recorded a couple years ago. I talked about what I would like to see, the characters and the storylines that I would like to see in my ideal Nightwing movie. And so today I'm joined with Mike from Comic Book Fans. And
hey, guys.
Yeah, so my video I put out, I talked about sort of what my ideal Nightwing movie would look like. And so, Mike, what would you like to see? And if you had the perfect Nightwing movie, what would that look like?
Ooh, that's kind of hard. I guess considering how like all over the place DCEU movies and everything are now, I don't think I could put it in a certain continuity at this point.
Right.
I guess if I was going to, I'd probably do it like the DCEU because like so far, Ben Affleck's been my favorite Batman. But I don't know how that would work. But for getting any continuity, I definitely think at this point, since it'd be kind of hard to just like make it a spin-off of a Batman film. Obviously, I think we should. Right. I think it would probably best if it started out with him as an adult in Bloodhaven. He's like probably like been Nightwing for a little bit, and then they sort of kind of like in Titans, they have like flashbacks of him, maybe as Robin, and then kind of show like through flashbacks him, leaving Bruce to become Nightwing, basically.
Sure.
And maybe have a couple like flashbacks of him like starting out or something. But I think like the origin story has been like kind of overplayed the last like couple decades.
Yeah, for
sure. Like I think it's fine if we could kind of start out he's been Nightwing for a year or two and just kind of show his origin like briefly through flashbacks. And I think it would be cool, like obviously if there were like some other like Bat family characters in it, like maybe Tim Drake, because we never see Tim Drake in live action like ever. So it'd be cool to see Tim Drake, maybe even like Huntress or Red Hood or even Batgirl. I think would be cool.
Yeah.
And maybe even like it might be chock full, but it'd be interesting to tease like any Titans characters, like Starfire or somebody. But probably I think it'd be best though if they kind of played off of his relationship with Barbara.
Yeah.
Because like he's with Starfire a lot, but I think they kind of suggest that in the end, like he and Barbara are kind of meant for each other.
Right.
So it'd be kind of interesting if she's like already Oracle already. And then, they kind of maybe just kind of talk about the relationship, kind of like in the Arkham games, like everything's already been established and happened and everything. They don't really like go through it all. It just like is.
Yeah.
So I think that'd probably be best to do, like not make it confusing for people who don't know the comics, like either show stuff through flashbacks or talk about it so you know what's going on. But I think that'd be pretty good. I'm not really sure about the villain, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like I definitely think that Nightwing, I think they just put a heavy emphasis on his gymnastic skills. Just because like he's like, I think he's supposed to be like the DC's best gymnast.
Yes.
So that'd be pretty cool to see them really put a heavy emphasis on that. Also, I think it would be cool. It would be cool to kind of somehow adapt to the storyline. So the storyline happened like a year or so ago, but I've been reading it just now because I just picked up the comics recently. I think it's in like Nightwing like 62 through like 68 or whatever. Yeah. But basically, not 100% like this because obviously it'd be kind of weird of a Nightwing movie like this. But basically, I forget who shot him, but basically Dick gets shot.
KJ Beast shot him. Yeah.
Yeah, right. KJ Beast KG Beast, and he loses his memory. So then he's just like Rick Grayson for a while. But then, like 4 other people, like so he stops being Nightwing because he can't remember who he is. Like he's still a crime fighter, but he stops being Nightwing. But then like 4 other people show up with like old Nightwing suits they found and are like the Nightwings, and he helps them and everything. But they don't know he was Nightwing. But then I think the main thing that will be interesting to adapt is like Talon shows up. From the Court of Owls, and like basically tries to recruit him because it's revealed that Talon's actually Dick Grayson's like great grandfather or something.
Yeah,
and he's just been like prolonged. I think it'd be interesting, like not necessarily the whole like amnesia thing, because it'd be kind of weird to like start out a Nightwing movie like that, maybe for like a sequel or third movie or something. But it'd be interesting to like adapt the Talon and maybe even like bring in the Court of Owls.
Yes,
because they've only done that in live action on Gotham.
Right.
And while it was originally a Batman story, they've already adapted it into like an animated movie. I think it'd be okay to like bring it to, bring the Court of Owls to the big screen in a Nightwing movie.
For sure.
And I think like some sort of like soft adaptation of that whole Talon storyline where it's like his grandfather and everything, that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I guess that's all I really have thought about that much about like a Nightwing movie.
Sure.
Like, what are your thoughts on like having like Batman in it? Do you think he should just be in flashbacks, or should there be like a scenes where like Nightwing and Batman team up and stuff, or like
Hmm.
because they do a lot in the comics. There's a lot of like teaming up between them.
Yeah, I think as far as the comics go, some of my favorite Nightwing stories are the ones where Batman's not in the picture and Nightwing kind of is his
Yeah,
own thing. Like
right.
Battle of the Cowl was a good one, Batman and Robin Eternal,
Mhm.
where Nightwing, Dick Grayson kind of, because each of those stories,
Mhm.
Batman's obviously doing his own thing, and so Dick kind of
Right.
fills that leadership role, and I think those are some really cool Nightwing stories.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if for the first movie, at least, if they were gonna make like more than one, it'd be cool if they brought in Batman maybe at some point. But I think with the
Right.
first one, it should just be just him, and maybe just show Batman through flashbacks or something.
Hmm.
But I think also one thing I'd really like to see is like Tim Drake, but like as Red Robin. It would
Okay.
be cool to have like maybe like at some point a team up between him and Tim or something,
Hmm. Yeah.
because like Tim is obviously was the third Robin, but I feel like a lot of times people like they never really adapt Tim in like live action, but then
Right.
like it's to the point where I feel like they would never adapt him as Red Robin, which I think he's kind of the coolest as Red Robin, like out of all the
Yeah.
things he's done. Like so when he kind of goes off as on his own like Nightwing, that'd be kind of cool.
Hmm.
And then they sort of just mention he used to be Robin, and they almost sort of like kind of have a bond together because they both used to be Robin. They both like have experience like being with Bruce and then going off on their own.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be interesting if maybe he was like a somewhat supporting character or a side character or something.
Sure. Like his kind of guy in the chair kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that, or at least like sort of a partner. I don't know, like a team of thing for part of it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm going to use that as a sort of segue, and we're going to talk
yeah,
about sort of the first option for adapting a Nightwing movie would be obviously to put him in the DCEU.
hmm,
And assuming Ben Affleck doesn't come back as Batman, I think that's
yeah,
probably my favorite option would be putting him in the DCEU,
yeah,
especially since especially after the Birds of Prey movie, I feel like
yeah.
the title you just brought up, Nightwing Rebirth, is a very colorful title, but also a very like dark like storyline are very dark in that
Hmm,
title, and I think that fits really well with the Birds of Prey movie. Especially
yeah,
a lot of the characters that were introduced in that movie have ties with Dick Grayson, and so I think
yeah.
introducing a Dick Grayson that's already developed as his own character in that universe would probably be my favorite option.
Yeah, well, yeah. Kind of talk about Birds of Prey. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Huntress in that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
Because she's technically like part of the Bat family sometimes.
Right, and also
So
Cassandra Cain.
yeah, right. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think putting it in the DCEU, it would be interesting, like hard but not impossible. Because for one
Hmm.
thing, it'd be hard if Affleck doesn't come back, but I think they could still do it because they do it all the time. Like in Titans, they even like showed Batman without actually having like
Right.
a legit. They could just kind of show in flashbacks, but not really.
Hmm.
Show is it's not really Ben Affleck as like a stand-in or something.
Right.
Stuff like that. So that they could still probably put it in that established, continuity,
Hmm.
and just that would kind of give an excuse too as to why Batman's like never in, the Nightwing movie like officially.
Right.
The only problem is that in that continuity, Dick Grayson is supposed to be dead,
Yeah, and
but
so I think because there is officially in the movies there is a dead Robin. It doesn't specifically
mhm.
say Dick Grayson, so you could retcon that. But yeah.
True, you could retcon that for sure. I think though what they could do, which would be interesting, is if like which could like kind of springboard into his solo movie, they could kind of almost combine him with like Red Hood's origin. And
Hmm.
by that I mean like, he was killed by Joker, but then he's brought back with like a Lazarus pit or something.
Sure.
But instead of going insane, he just, is back. So
Right.
kind of interesting. But then he's also lost like what, like, 10 years of his life or something, and he has to like
Hmm.
adapt to that.
Yeah,
And that
and
would be kind
we
of
could tie that into with what you said earlier about how he's like lost some of his memory, and so the movie's about him
right.
trying to figure out who he was.
And I feel like that could springboard a little bit into like he's kind of got to find his own way, like
Yeah.
outside of Batman, because
Hmm.
he's been gone for so long, and he just
Yeah.
he doesn't want to come back just to be Robin, especially since like he could maybe even feel like Batman failed him by letting Joker kill him or something.
Right. Right.
But
And
yeah,
I think also you could have a kind of movie about so Ben Affleck's Batman is missing, and you could kind of have that be sort of the storyline about him trying to figure out what happened and where he is, and you can maybe have him show up at the end. Ben Affleck.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting too. And I think that would that could also tie in with Tim, because Tim is supposed to be like the closest to Batman detective skills wise.
Yeah, yeah,
So it could be possible he like, like Dick's no dummy, but he could maybe like enlist Tim's help
sure.
to kind of track down Bruce, so that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah. And so I think, is that all we had on the DCEU?
I think so.
Okay. And so I think the next option for introducing a Nightwing would be to put him in the Robert Pattinson universe, because they're actually making a universe out of it. They're having a TV tie-in and stuff. So
right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you were to introduce him, you would have to introduce him as like a Robin, and then have him sort of develop through the movies.
Honestly, I feel like it'd be harder to put him in the Robert Pattinson universe, at least now. Like within the next 5 years, it'd be harder. Like the DCU is already pretty established, whether you like it or not. It's been, they have a lot of characters, whatever. And they already like have hinted a lot, because like Batman's, been around for a while. They've hinted at a lot of like stuff we've seen like in the comics has kind of already happened in Gotham. But I think the problem with Robert Pattinson's Batman is he's supposed to be like in his second year as Batman. Yeah. So you can't really have Nightwing with this being his second year. It'd be, unless you wanted to like completely remove him from Batman, which would be like Venom movie without Spider-Man, but like even more. So like so I think if you put it in that universe, you'd have to wait at least like several years. Like you'd have to introduce Dick Grayson as Robin, like young Robin, like in like this movie basically, and then in the Batman that's coming out next year, and then within the next like sequels or something, he kind of like grows as Robin, and then so it would take at least 5 years or so for him to be like old enough, like Batman to be old enough, but also Dick to be old enough to just go off and be Nightwing. But it's not impossible at all. It could work, but it would definitely be harder, and like it'd take a lot more time to do. Right.
Yeah, and like you said, everyone already knows his origin story. It's one of those that everybody knows. And I think one of the benefits to putting him in the Robert Pattinson universe would be to have not only him but the rest of the Bat family, and so we could kind of have that camaraderie and the connectiveness of that unit that we don't really see a whole lot in live action. So that there's that. Yeah. Also, it would be like, apparently, according to Matt Reeves, like this universe is kind of a like darker like tone, which like in some respects the DCEU is, but like darker than other versions we've seen. And I think that would be interesting to see Nightwing in that sort of I guess environment or genre, Yeah. Okay, and then the final option is to just put him in his own universe, like his own Elseworlds thing, and you could literally have whatever you want because he's not connected to anything, and that's sort of a plus and a positive and a negative at the same time. And so you could adapt any storyline. I think if you wanted to make a more Titan-centric Nightwing movie, you would put it in sort of his own continuity, separate from everything else. Yeah, I mean, personally, I think that's probably my least favorite option, just because I really like, not even like continuity, yes, but I like really like world building. So, that's the cool thing about comics is like all these heroes exist in the same continuity, and I really like that. So when they just like take, which they did for like decades, they would just have superheroes be in their own universe in the movies. I really like the whole idea that they share a universe where whether they meet or not, they still have impacts on that world, and other characters like have to react to these impacts. So I do think I would prefer him to be in an already established. I wouldn't really want it to be like a one-off Joker film kind of thing, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, and another thing that you could do is like I said, you could literally have it be whatever you want. You could have an old Nightwing. You could have. It's true. Yeah. So it does give a lot of freedom. That is a nice thing about that. Right. And so I mean, there's a positive and negative to it. And so I'm going to close off the video with talking about what Nightwing suits you would like to see in live action. Which one's your favorite and that sort of thing. Yeah. Well, before we do that, if you don't mind, I just have like one quick question for you. So a lot of people like talk a lot about how they want, like TV show characters cast in like the movies. Like people have like been, really wanted Grant Gustin to be the Flash. They really wanted Stephen Amell to be Green Arrow, stuff like that. Right. So like, how would you feel about like a
Nightwing movie like based off of like the Titans series, basically with Brenton Thwaites. Like, however, probable it is, like, what would you think about that? Like, if if it were probable at all,
So your question is a Nightwing spin-off movie from it's already in the Titans continuity. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I feel like it'd be kind of confusing if Brenton Thwaites was cast and it was like a totally different story.
Right. Yeah, I think that could be cool. Yeah, I think that'd be cool because he did really good as the character. Another thing that I didn't bring up is that because it's DC Comics, you could have like a Crisis or a Flashpoint, and you could put any character in any continuity. So if you wanted Brenton Thwaites to be with Ben Affleck, you could just have a Flashpoint, and then there you go.
True. I mean, they've already established in Crisis on Infinite Earths, the CW crossover.
Right.
But then in the Flash movie, they're like playing off of the whole multiverse thing. So I guess they could sort of play into that. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think that would be cool to have like a Nightwing spinoff movie from the TV show.
Yeah, that I think would probably be like a HBO Max original or something instead of like a like in theaters. But I would still definitely watch the crap out of that. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so we're talking about Nightwing suits. So I definitely usually prefer ones that have some sort of like armor on them.
Yeah.
Just because I think that's more practical, at least, when you're fighting crime and stuff. Like, not necessarily movement-wise, but I like the ones that are, like, sleek, but have armor on them.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mixed bag. It's like, I really like the classic, like, blue suits where he's got, like, the blue stripe going down his arm and everything.
Yeah.
But he's also got, like, the Nightwing logo on his chest. I prefer that to just, like, the random blue stripe on there,
Yeah.
But I am really partial to the red suit that they had in New 52.
Yeah,
I did think that suit was very cool. I think it would work best if they started out with like the classic like Nightwing suit with like the blue emblem and like the blue stripe and everything, and then kind of at some point sort of did like a suit upgrade or like a different suit where it's like the red.
Yeah,
I think that'd be kind of cool. But other than that, I think his suits remained pretty consistent. There hasn't, kind of like Batman's suit, there hasn't been a whole lot of iterations off the main suit. So I think for me, as long as it's like, I think the one in Titans was pretty cool. But I think as long as it's kind of got the like blue on it, I would definitely prefer, like I said, like the actual Nightwing emblem on his chest. But what about you? What are your thoughts on his suit?
I think my favorite Nightwing suit is probably the one from Young Justice, because like you said, it's got plated armor, but it does have the Nightwing logo that's on it, and so I think that's probably the suit that I would like to see the most of. But I do like the New 52, the red one, because it's kind of like Kevlar, and so it's durable, but it's also flexible, like you said. And
I like the Young Justice one. My only problem with that is that there's for me personally, there's not enough blue on it.
Okay.
Like it's a little bit too like sparse with the blue. It's like all black and then it's like the blue emblem. Like I think it'd be like perfect almost for me. I think if it had like maybe like the blue stripe going on the arm or something like that.
Sure.
But some sort of way where it's like kind of armor or Kevlar looking. But has enough, like has like his emblem and maybe like enough blue or red or whatever. But and definitely the Eskrima sticks. Obviously, this is kind of a given.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's basically all that I had.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, so you could click on the links in the description to go to our Facebook page, Instagram page, Patreon, all that good stuff's down there. We have videos, multiple videos out every week. I try to post my videos on Wednesday. I think Mike is Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, occasionally like Saturday or something, but
yeah.
But yeah, I guess post your comments down below. Any like ideas you have for a Nightwing movie?
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know they were developing one like years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was supposed to be the director of the Lego Batman movie 2 was like signed on to do it.
That's what I
And then it just stagnated. It just like never happened. I don't know why. For whatever reason, DC loves to announce these movies and be like, yeah, just kidding. Like Joss Whedon was supposed to direct a Batgirl movie, and that's obviously never going to happen. So who knows what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, based off of, I don't mean to open a whole other can of worms, but I love
Yeah.
the Lego Batman movie, and so just the idea of that guy making a Nightwing movie, it makes me very excited.
That would have been cool. I mean, it could still happen, but it might not be for a while.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely be cool with that.
Yeah. So just make sure to rate and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Yep. See you guys.